Hello Year 4, this is this week's science lesson, and this term for science we are looking at living things and their habitats. So today we are going to look at food chains. So your first question is, what is a food chain? I would like you to pause the video now and write down an answer. Okay, welcome back. So a food chain is the order in which organisms or living things depend on each other for food. So it's the order and way things are eaten or dependent on what they eat. So what I have got here is I have got some keywords here, some vocabulary. We've got producer, consumer, prey and predators. And this is going to be our main vocabulary for this lesson. I have 4 different animals and organisms here, and I've got 4 definitions here. I want you to match the definitions to the vocabulary and then match the pictures to that. So you need to match them all up. You may find with the pictures that they could go into more than one category. However, I want you to think about that one in a bit more detail, okay? So, pause the video now and have a go at matching up the meanings of the correct words and pictures. Okay, welcome back and well done for giving that a good go. So, let's do producer first. First of all, I'm going to read all my definitions. So, they make their own food. They get their food from plants or other animals. Animals eat them, and animals that eat other animals. Okay, so the definitions here are quite broad, aren't they? So I know that producers make their own food. So I'm just going to move this bird out of the way and I'm going to put that. Producers make their own food. And I know this eagle here doesn't make its own food. This blackbird here doesn't make its own food, and I know this caterpillar doesn't make their own food, so it must be the leaf. Plants can make their own food. They obviously have to use the sun and water to survive, but they make their own food. So consumers. They are animals eat them. Okay. Animals eat consumers. And the consumer I can see here is this little caterpillar. Okay? So we've got to do prey and predators. So let's do prey. Prey and predators, they can kind of be the same thing. It's sort of predators go after the animal and they eat the animal. So that means it's the prey. And this blackbird here is the prey for this eagle. Okay, so this eagle is your predator seeking out food, seeking out the blackbird, and that's his prey. So let's match the definition up. So then, they get their food from plants or other animals. Animals that eat other animals. So, prey, they get their food from plants and other animals. Because blackbirds eat plants and other animals because they would eat the caterpillar and bugs. Predators, animals that eat other animals. That's what a predator is. So I hope that makes sense to you all. And this has now made a food chain. So I will show you. Let's find an arrow. So the caterpillar eats the plant. The blackbird eats the caterpillar. And this eagle will eat the blackbird. So as you can see, there is a food chain in this. So I've got another food chain here. And we're going to think about how food chains are constructed. What is the point of the arrows? What do they represent? And how should we label the different parts of a food chain? So I want you to pause the video now and have a go at answering some of those questions. Okay, welcome back. So, how is the food chain constructed? So it sort of means how is it made? And the food chain is constructed into sort of a line, okay, and it's got the use of these arrows to show you the order of the line. And it always seems to start with a plant, okay, a lot of food chains seem to start with a plant, okay. Mainly, most food chains start with the sun, because the plants need the sun to survive, so you can almost say, well, you'll say that the sun is the plant's source of food. So the plants need it to survive. And that's sort of what the food chain is. They need these things to survive. So the arrows sort of show you who's eating what. So this slug eats the grass. Okay, the frog will eat the slug and the owl will eat the frog. And how should we label the different parts of the food chain? So with using the vocabulary that we did, producer, consumer and predator, I'll write that here. I would like you to match them to the correct one on this food chain. So producer, consumer and predator. Okay, and prey. So I would like you to match those words up with the correct animal here. You might realise that one of the words might need to go into two places, but give it a go and then I'll tell you what the answer is once you've given it a go. Okay, welcome back and well done for giving it a go. Sometimes when you look at it, you think, oh my gosh, I have no idea what Miss Long's asking of me. But massive well done if you've given it a go, because that's sometimes how the best we learn, we've just got to try. So, the plant is my producer, because it produces its own food. Okay, consumer sort of eats the plant. Okay, predator would be my owl. And I've got my frog here, which is my prey to the owl. However, it's also a consumer because it consumes another living organism. Okay, so in food chains, you might have more than one consumer. And that's okay because I'll show you in a few slides' time a food chain web which sort of tells you all the different things that they eat. But I'll show you that in a minute. Anyway, so that is our food chain. What I've got here then is I've got some animals are at the top of the food chain. I've got two animals here which will be top of the food chain. What's made this animal top of the food chain? Okay, can you think of another animal that is on top of the food chain? And what do you think this means? So first of all, what do you think it means to be top of the food chain? Now, I remember on my team's call with my class, we spoke a little bit about the top of the food chain. So I think some of the children have got a rough idea what top of the food chain means. But what do you think it might mean? So well done if you thought that they're top of the food chain, no one can eat them. They're not getting, there isn't anything after them to eat them. They are the top. They are the sort of the predator. They eat everything else below them, and nothing is really after them to eat them. So that's what that means at the top of the food chain. And what has made this animal top of the food chain? Now we're thinking about habitats and living things, and we'll look into more detail throughout this unit, the qualities of these animals, especially a lion. What makes this lion top of the food chain? It's because it's powerful, it's strong. No one or animals are going to mess with a lion because they are really, really strong, and you will probably lose a fight with a lion. That's how they become top of the food chain, because they're the strongest animal. I wonder if you could think of another animal that is the top of the food chain. You're welcome to pause the video now and write down some few suggestions. Okay, welcome back. If you did pause the video, I'm going to carry on with the lesson. Okay, and then I have this slide. So these are just some examples of food chains from every type of habitat. We've got our grass, plant, cow, and a human, because some humans eat animals. So you can say they're part of the food chain. And here I've got some berries, so a plant, a living organism, a mouse, snake, then an eagle. So we've got some different chains from different habitats there. And then this is a food web, which I spoke about a few minutes ago. So in the wild, animals eat more than one thing. And that's what I was trying to say, they eat more than one thing. A food web can show lots of different foods eaten by an animal. They are more complicated food chains and include scavenging. So it's just a bit more of a complicated food chain. The food chains I have shown you seem to be in a straight line. This one, we've got arrows going everywhere. Okay, so it isn't a case of that's just one food chain, that's all that does. Especially with plants, there's lots and lots of different animals that eat plants, but then they would get, they will be prey for other animals as well. So I hope that kind of makes sense. Your activity today is you have two. Your first one is there is a activity sheet on our home learning page, and you are given a few animals, and I want you to put them into a food chain. And then tell me whether they are a producer, consumer, predator, or prey. And remember, you can have more than one consumer in your food chain. Then your challenge, your second activity challenge, is I have provided you with lots and lots of different pictures of animals, and on our wider curriculum overview, there's a few questions for you to have a go at. So this activity is more for you to explore and have some fun with, and raise some questions. So you can see if you can make the longest food chain. Okay, can you make a really short food chain? Think about, can you, do you have to use all of the cards? Is there any animals on there that isn't part of the food chain? I want you to think about all those kind of questions. And if you've any questions, then bring them into school next week and we can have another discussion on it. Anyway, Year 4, I hope that you enjoyed this science lesson, and I'll catch up with you later. Bye bye.